Welcome to the Beyond podcast. I'm your host Advaita, and today we have a very special guest here, a real monk, Savya Sachi, also known as Savya the Monk in the YouTube world, a spiritual guide, teacher, a global speaker who dedicated his whole life to share the knowledge of God consciousness, the knowledge of Krishna consciousness, the Bhakti Yoga philosophy. He also teaches on the University of Johannesburg. He's globally worldwide, known in Africa, in Asia, in Europe, in America. He's a friend of everyone and a very natural and kind person who really wants to help people to see behind the external, to really go within and understand that we actually, in one sense, we are all one, unity, but also there's beautiful diversity, and that we find a way in this life to help each other to grow spiritually and to realize God within, in a humble, loving, and in the way of service and devotion. So thanks for tuning in, and we're looking forward to hear from Savya the Monk. Savya the Monk, nice to have you with us. Unity in diversity, the topic for today. There's so many divisions, so much fighting and quarrels and racism and division in religious field, traditions in school, male, female, black and white. And so, yeah, maybe you can enlighten us about this topic and maybe say a few words about yourself. The last podcast is quite some time ago. Who are you? Why are you here? And yeah.
Yeah, thank you to you, Advaita Simha, and thank you for your platform. Savya Sachi, Das is my name. I go by Savya the Monk. I'm based in Johannesburg, South Africa. I'm a student of spiritual life, and I'm a student of the applied spiritual sciences. How to use spiritual wisdom to turn one's own life into a more positive, a more well-rounded being and someone who contributes positively to the world, and also to assist others who have similar interests in aligning with their purpose, aligning with God, and becoming much more happier and peaceful beings. So as a monk, this is what I do, and my identity is more linked to this spiritual ideals that I hold.
And yeah, can you tell us about the topic unity in diversity, and what is your how do you see things in that way that we can understand that actually we are one. Yeah, we came with nothing, we'll go with nothing. If I bleed the same like you, and there's so much same qualities and culture we all belong to, come from, but also with so much diversity and differences, and how to find a common ground and move forward in a direction that we can live peacefully and encourage each other, grow together in a very happy and harmonious environment.
It's an important topic to discuss because, as you've rightly put it out there, that there is a need for finding common ground, even amidst the different ideals we hold, philosophies, the different backgrounds we come from, racially, educationally, culturally. The Bhakti texts especially educate from the platform that every living person is a spiritual being. So immediately establishing a universal common ground, that life, the living symptoms, are present not only just in the human species, but it factors in the animals, the plants, aquatics, even life forms that are beyond our particular universe. So the living symptoms, life, is discussed as a spiritual phenomena. And wherever we see life, we will see growth and changes. we will see that there's an experience of the environment, either positively or negatively. Beings are affected by the environment. So in the world today, there's a greater emphasis on the differences because groups of people are trying to protect what they feel is theirs, especially around resources, around sovereignty of nations, sovereignty of ideas. And so, together, your group, then there's a push to emphasize what makes us the same and what makes the others different from us. While we acknowledge diversity, it makes things much more colorful and much more flavorful. Like if you have a vase of flowers, if you have a variety of flowers there, then they have different design, different aromas, different colors. It makes the vase of flowers look much more pretty. However, for humanity to move forward in a graceful way where there's cooperation, there's the deeper values of sharing, there's a need to investigate more the common ground, and that is the spiritual. And that spiritual platform is where variety doesn't create a sense of apartness, but the variety celebrates the glory of what unites us, our common Father. As the Bhagavad Gita states, Krishna is the source of both material and spiritual worlds. And there Krishna says something nice, Aham bija pradapitaha. I'm the seed-giving father of all living entities. So this is the crux of the angle that I want to emphasize as we discuss unity and diversity, that this unity of a common fatherhood, a common source, is way more important than the variety of differences.
But we see we have so many different spiritual traditions and religious backgrounds, and everyone claims my way is the highway, my way is the only right path, and it's in my scripture. And of course, I respect your tradition and I love your religion, but mine is the best. My scripture says this is God, and I'm the only one who knows God. And yeah, I also see it in my own practice that I'm very compassionate and understanding to other traditions, but in the same time, I also think my way is for me the best way. Yeah. So somehow we're very conditioned in understanding this principle of unity and diversity, especially when it comes to spiritual texts or the understanding of God. And you mentioned that God is the seed giving father of everyone. Yeah, but still we claim, no, my God and your God. And yeah.
Yes, this is very important discussion and point you're raising. That although we mention that there's one God or there's one source for all, the seed giving Father for all, it is quite natural for one to feel that the path that they are on or their tradition is best, especially if they feel it is giving them some results that they're looking for. I mean, in the Bhagavad Gita itself, Krishna speaks to this idea. And just to share that in Bhagavad Gita, there's a discussion of what is known as Karma Yoga and also something called Sankhya Yoga. And there they are known as different parts because one is dealing with how to harmonize your fruits of activity, how to get good results. The other is more about analyzing the material world and becoming renounced from it. Krishna there says that these two are the same, and one who thinks different is a fool. So,
Mm.
what does he mean? Because when you explain them, just like the biblical culture will explain God and how to connect differently in many ways than the Islamic culture or the Hindu culture or the Jewish culture. So, what comes up there that we should look not at the divergent ideas or the different ideas that are spoken there, but we have to look at the convergent ideals or the harmonizing ideals. What is the ultimate to be achieved? And you'll find all of them talk about love of God, bringing peace amongst humanity, prosperity by the blessings of the Supreme Lord, and also an extrication from material existence, meaning back home, whether it's called heaven or paradise, Vaikunta, the spiritual world. So when we look at the ultimate goals of these traditions, then we can find harmony there. We have some unity in what we are looking to find. But if we focus too much on the philosophical explanation of reaching the goal or the steps of reaching that goal, then naturally there will be differences. And this idea lends to what I touched on earlier, that we are all spiritual beings, but also we have a material body. The material body being gross and physical, we can definitely see the differences if you look at just the two of us on this podcast. You can find so many differences. But deeper than the skin is the subtle body, the mind and the intelligence. So there, if we find commonality in those ideas, that's great, but they may also not be the same. So the ideas are coming from the psychological, the intellectual class. But what those ideas are hinting at is the ideals, what can be achieved. So in discussing unity in diversity, and my emphasis on unity would be, let's look at the common achievements that all these cultures are propagating. And then maybe if we increase the discussions around what is to be achieved, then we will see greater commonality. Otherwise, the sectarian mood is always appealing because we're looking to be unique, and we find strength in a group, and we must encourage each other about our own particular path. And that is easily weaponized by whether it's political entities, whether it's fanatic persons within each culture. It may lead to this extremism and excluding others from having a part to play in the resources provided by the one God who is the source of all of us.
Yeah, I was just recently thinking about that yeah, I mean, the experience is very subjective in each culture, in each tradition. Um, but to see what you mentioned, that love, yeah, we all looking for love, yeah. Um, doesn't need to be love to God, just to experience happiness and joy, and but then on a higher level we want to experience, I mean, especially in, if you follow some spiritual path, you want to experience love with the divine, yeah, experience God and have a relationship. um Ultimate, it's the highest purpose in life. Everyone wants to give and experience and exchange and yeah, love, yeah. So
Yeah.
what is your understanding about love? Because it's just such a word. Yeah, I love you, and I say it to my family all the time. They say it to me, to my friend. But what is the deeper meaning of love? What is this? combining factor, this unity we can find?
Love, in the mature application of it, is what is known as lust, in that it is mainly based on what I will get out of any interaction. And it is not so selfless. But we see aspects of the spiritual principle of love in just like the exchange, a parent to a child. There's a current that just flows naturally from the heart towards the children. We want to protect um, and serve them and give them the very best that is available. So it's a point where, without proper education, we mistake lust for love and we become disappointed. Uh, Something that had the flavor and like a wolf dressed in sheep's clothing. It feels like it is what I'm looking for, but then later on it shows itself to be less than what we desire. Therefore, the concept of love, when it is not seen in its complete position as a spiritual energy of the heart, which flows especially towards the most ideal person. And when it is flowing towards the most ideal person, God, then there's knowledge that every living being, every moving, non-moving entity, all energies flow from this one divine person whom I adore. Then I treat everything and everyone with the same affection that flows from my heart to the source of all these energies. But when we remove the source of all energies from the picture, then we look at everyone and everything with a spirit of personal gratification, personal enjoyment, and the mood of exploitation can also grow. Or we are in business with others, that I do something for you because I want something in return. And these concepts are definitely not part of what love is.
So you mentioned also before separation and yeah, this in politics, but everywhere we see this. Yeah. And I just recently talked about a topic, the age of Kali, yeah, the age of
Mm.
quarrel, hypocrisy, the dark age. And I mean, the diversity actually comes from there, yeah, that we, first of all, we identify with something we are not, yeah, the body, the mind, my country, my family. And but then we go so deep that we always want to have the best. You mentioned we always, I want to be the best. I want to have the best. My religion needs to be the best. My family needs to be the best. My income, yeah. And so, how can we really, yeah, on a spiritual level, but also on a material level, emotional level, how can we really find common ground, yeah, in this age of separation, yeah? We're separated from us, from God, from ourselves, from our neighbors. How can we really unite, yeah, find unity?
It starts with, as they say, if you can try to put yourself in the shoes of the other. We consider the things that make me happy, the things that I want for myself. Try to think that someone else also may want the same things. And therefore, consider how my life is allowing others to also have what I consider the best for my life. So that is one thing one can consider. Also, that there's commonality in things that cause us pain. We are going through the same conditions of bad weather. If it's cold for everyone. Everyone needs a warm jacket or some heat in the room. Hunger. I know the feeling of hunger, and I can think about hunger in other bodies. Disease. These things are affecting everyone. They are democratic. They are available to all.
Mm.
So these type of meditations where what I think is important for me and which I think I deserve and is best, try to consider that others are also looking for the similar thing. That means a little less selfishness, removing ourselves from the center. Then higher, like we said, that there is the mind and the intelligence, and that is the realm of ideas, a realm of thought. That ideas are also present in everyone. And all these ideas that people have and philosophies they propound are aiming at increasing the physical comforts and happiness, how to harness more from material nature for the prosperity of certain groups. So if they are not shared, if there's no common basket of ideas to serve us as a species, even humanity, then we're missing out. And higher than the mind and intelligence is the spirit, the actual experiencer of this external environment. So deep unity is necessarily found on the spiritual platform, meaning lasting, because the spirit is an eternal position. So if we want something lasting, we have to find something that matches our lasting quality of being spiritual in essence. All of that is facilitated by education. So I would really say the dialogues between differing people externally, ideologically, have to be encouraged. When we dialogue, that's when we will start to find common links. Certain things, we just express them differently, use different language. But once we discuss, just like the sun is known by all on earth, but they may not all call it the same name, sun, because they're different languages. But if we discuss the ball in the sky, its color, it gives light and heat, then even though there is a limitation arising from different languages and different forms of communication, we can understand that we're talking about the one ball in the sky, which gives all of us heat and light. So, common ground coming from discussing what may seem to be the differences and intentionally trying to find common ground.
Um, just heard a quote recently. Somebody wrote, I pray that I'm not becoming so spiritual that I stop caring about others. And just
Mm.
remember the quote because, like, we say we're so spiritual and we pray and we go to church or temples. And so, what really binds us together, what helps us is this mood of service, yeah, to give, like you say, um, put yourself in other shoes, yeah. What I want for myself, can I really offer it to others, yeah? So, do you think it's the first way to really approach this topic, yeah, and to find unity through service? What to speak of understanding there is one God, like the sun, and different names, and we all have a relationship, and we all connected, yeah.
Yes, I think broadly this is a most common platform which anyone from any walk of life can appreciate, um, to serve, to be our brother's keeper, our sister's keeper, even with begin just on the basic needs, food, clothing, and shelter. These are common to all. And if we as humanity can aim to tackle that, that could really usher in greater unity, because we are concerned about the basics that we all need. And that can be inspired even without religious belief sometimes or deep spiritual insight. It is just common sense, you may say, that as I hunger, others hunger. As I seek shelter, others need shelter. And if I can help, beginning from my neighbor, then I'm changing something in the environment around me. If I can help someone in my community, then I'm affecting the nation. If I can change something in the nation, I'm affecting that region of the planet. If I affect that region of the planet, I'm affecting something on the planet. It is really a shift in individual values, a shift in individuals' consciousness. So we need more conscientizing of the people to let's not be selfish. Let's
More
try to serve.
selfless, more selfless than selfish.
Yes.
Less of myself. Before I started my spiritual journey, or I was already on the path, kind of, and was introduced to karma and action and reaction, and I started to live a little bit more conscious and giving, yeah. But honestly, I have to say that I couldn't really like put others in front of me. It was always about myself, yeah. And
Mm,
maybe my closest friends and relatives, my family, but I
mm,
couldn't think further that I really want to serve or help people, and maybe somewhere very deep inside there was a desire to serve, but in a practical way I only thought about myself, yeah. So only when I encountered some spiritual people like monks, yeah, I visited the temple and I saw they don't live only for themselves, they go out of their way to help others to get in contact with the spiritual teachings and experience joy, bliss through chanting and mantra meditation. And then first time in my life I saw there are people in this world who don't live only for themselves. Of course they have their struggles and their own egoistic views and whatever, but also like they going out of their way to give, yeah. And that what really attracted me actually to spirituality, to not just talk about it and be careful to create good karma, yeah. But when I started to give and to serve and to engage and help others to engage in the same way, then actually magic was happening. And when I became a monk, all my friends, I would never be friends with them, you know. I would be completely different cultures, different languages, different backgrounds. But somehow this one thing, yeah, this understanding that I'm not this body, yeah, that we are a soul, that we have a higher purpose, that there's God, we have a relationship with Him. So we all had the same idea, yeah, the same desires. So that what bound us, yeah, that what made friendship and brought us close together. Even now, I don't see them so many times anymore, but still, you know. So we can actually see through service and being conscious and living together in the same environment, association. This is what sparks the unity, right?
yes, yes. And I mean, you're bringing up very important that it's a practical conversation. It's not just armchair discussing it, because what's happening now is that people are also becoming unable to deal personally with others. There's so many environments that are being created, especially in the online world, artificial environments for interacting. which, if individuals aren't sufficiently trained in personal dealings and being sensitive to the personhood of others, the spirit of serving a person and then being sensitive to the feelings of others may be lost because we start to see them impersonally. We're seeing them only through the screens. And I had the similar experience that when I came into community with others, I could tell that everyone was still an individual, but they were bringing their individuality to a united vision, which was how can humanity be uplifted? In this tradition, Krishna consciousness is speaking to the original consciousness of all, that as parts and parcel of the Supreme Person, we are always conscious of that relationship. And that forgetfulness of that eternal spiritual consciousness is the cause of the problems of the world. And that brought the unity. We are finding the relief, we're experiencing it, and we want to share it with others. And it worked so powerfully that although there were many clear cut, like you mentioned, cultural, economic, racial differences, that those became very minor, even insignificant in the background, because on the foreground was this inspiring vision of the supreme personality who is in the heart of all of us, who's our well-wisher and friend, and a process which gave us all direct experience of the common Father. This chanting of Hare Krishna for us is the same. And you find in all cultures this name of God, meditating on the name of God and the activities of God, bring great unity amongst people who are different in terms of their backgrounds. And so I'm in agreement with this practical demonstration of service, bringing unity. And I'm just adding that be careful now that the impersonal structures are growing. We should not lose out on the personal touch, which comes when we are serving directly instead of impersonally, as the culture is dictating.
This word community, when you separate it, it means commune in unity. It's actually,
Mm.
yeah, I like it because we had this one teacher visiting us sometimes, and he said, "Okay, now look at each other in each other's eyes during the class, during the presentation." And now he said, see in the other person that this body, yeah, is a temple of the soul and is a temple of God, yeah. And then he said, look in the room to all the persons and see God within the heart. And all of a sudden, everyone starts smiling. And there was so much
Mm.
joy and peace. Yeah. And then he said, you see, it's so simple. If you want to be happy, just see the soul within, just see God within each person. Yeah.
Mm.
That really stayed with me. And you also touched on this point, God in the heart.
Yes, it reminds me because stories are always it's just so nice anecdotes about the monastery. It might be some San Franciscan order of some sort. The detail escapes me, but the monastery was not getting enough members joining. And one senior monk came to visit, and he saw that there's not so many men joining that monastery. And he was thinking how to remedy the situation, and he saw that somehow there was a deficiency in the dealings. And so he started to talk to the individuals in that monastery, telling each of them that the Messiah had come and the Messiah was living in their monastery.
Hmm.
Therefore, each person started thinking, oh, I've made a commitment to work on behalf of the Messiah, and now the Messiah has come here, and he is one of the brothers in the same monastery. And so he started treating the brothers with great sensitivity, care, and attention to pleasing them because they may be the Messiah. And by beginning to be sensitive like that and serving them nicely, all the others who had also heard that one of the brothers here was the Messiah was reciprocating in that way. So they began to treat each other in the very ways that they would treat the Messiah. And the people in that community began to experience that change of consciousness. They felt the love and the bonds were deepening. That spiritual atmosphere was invoked in the monastery. And congregations started coming more and more. Many men wanted to join that monastery. The numbers were swelling. And soon enough, they were consulting that senior monk that, oh, we have now too many men wanting to join our monastery. We don't have the space to accommodate them. So, in his deep maturity of spiritual growth, he understood that care to attention, service with devotion and affection is what the hearts are looking for. And but when that spirit is there, it provides a joyous atmosphere, a united atmosphere. So, to your point, yes, when we're sensitive like that and we're seeing God in the heart of others, then we want to deal with them as temples or vehicles of God in the heart. And I would say, in principle, this is the culture or the platform of dealings that can change the world and not remove the differences, but really install the differences as decorative ornaments on the uniting principle of spiritual brotherhood and sisterhood.
I love your story. I love the story. I need to remember. Yeah, but yeah, the Messiah is there everywhere. All of a sudden, everything changed. Also
Yeah,
in the Indian culture, when a guest comes, then you should see him always as Vishnu, as God Himself. Yeah, because you never
mm,
know. Maybe God knocks on your door, and you should treat him like He's God personally. You give him a nice seat, you wash his feet, you offer him some drinks, some food. If you have nothing, at least a seat you can offer him. Yeah? Show some kindness, show some love. Or when you cook, it said you should go out and ask in the neighborhood who is hungry, who wants to eat, and then first you serve everyone, and then you eat yourself. Yeah? I mean, I think nobody's doing that nowadays, but maybe in some parts of the world. Yeah,
yes.
I just
Beautiful,
can.
beautiful.
Yeah, I can see like when I talk to you now, like I remember in many ways when I start serving and giving and seeing these similarities within instead of the external features, then when life becomes actually full of joy and love and so that's
Yes.
the key to look behind. Yeah, what is, I mean, this is also the topic of the podcast, beyond. Yeah, the beyond
Mm,
podcast. The idea is to go beyond because we have so many conditionings and limiting beliefs, understandings, misconceptions of who we are. I mean, we don't even know like who do we look within. Yeah, I can see you now, I can see your body, but who are you? Yeah, who is the person within? I can't read your mind. Yeah, I don't know your thoughts, and now I know a little bit, but yeah, to look beyond what is actually there, yeah, and that we can only do when we go within, when we look within. Yeah.
yes, yes. I mean, this also is what uh, saves the families. Home life is greatly improved when the family members are bonding on the platform of being caretakers of each other. spouses when they are looking how to make the life of my partner much more conducive for their actual spiritual needs to be fulfilled. And looking also within to see what qualities in them I can enhance or reinforce or highlight. And this is said to be the attitude of Krishna. That Krishna is not so focused on the dividing qualities, meaning the faults in his parts and parcels, but he is looking for even a spark or of any good quality that will help that living being to blossom in his relationship with him. And he tries to fan that spark. So, this unity and diversity topic also can help in resolving conflicts. Because when there's conflict, we immediately take that one thing that we don't agree with and we make it like 100% the issue. But if we just turned it around and took that as just like 0.1% or 2% of what is not gelling, and then we focus on what is the common ground already. Like, say, in a family, husband and wife, they already share so many things: resources, home, children, family members, so many things. But when conflict comes, if they just focus on that small thing that has created conflict and forget the bigger side of what has brought them together, then things fall apart. So unity always is key to the thriving of the living being. And the greatest unifier is the greatest being, the Supreme Lord, the source of all of us and all of the energies we're dealing with in the world. So I'm glad we are musing around this topic.
I can totally relate. Um, Relationship with my wife. Yeah, like small things, and then we get caught up in a big fight instead of turning it around and seeing the good things, the good qualities, and or even to feel okay, why is she reacting in that way? Because I triggered her in a way she doesn't like, or the other way around, and yeah, it's really very helpful for me. Yeah, I can see we can easily slip and forget actually all the good things, all the unifying factors in life. And what is your practical way in your life, in your daily life, to see the unity and diversity in others? And yeah, how is your lifestyle? How do you express this topic in your own life?
I always am trying to see how did the saint that is saving me, that is in this case Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who brought this order of monkhood that I'm in. What was his vision about me and the world? Then I see that in him, he didn't think of his own welfare and feelings. He considered the desires of his spiritual master and previous saints, that they want to benefit the whole world with this wisdom of Krishna, which creates unity in society and in the world. So when these issues that can easily cause division and conflict and give me an excuse to not fight for uniting, when they come up, I think, how would he look at this situation? And then I can calm my selfishness, because they know very quickly the mind says, just save yourself from this. You don't need this. You can just focus on yourself and your needs. Of course, there needs to be a healthy balance in also considering if you are nourished enough to continue fighting the good fight to keep the unity in diversity. But I look at Srila Prabhupada, and then I remember a story that he himself, he was installing some deities in Amsterdam, and things were not done right, and he was upset on behalf of the Supreme Lord that the Lord's service wasn't done right. And in that divine anger and agitation, one new person who knew that the solution to happiness and peace and feeling greater connectivity was chanting Hare Krishna, told Prabhupada that, Swami, you look angry. Why don't you chant Hare Krishna? So then I also do that. Let me just go towards Krishna by chanting a few mantras or a little more mantras. Then I find that my vision of the situation definitely will change. So Prabhupada and taking shelter of Krishna through the chanting always helps me to come back to a position where I'm willing to push on in this spiritual fight to bring more unity in the diversity of the world around us.
I think it's a great example, what you mentioned, that the Swami Prabhupada, he himself taught to chant and be happy, and in an angry situation, his disciple comes to him and tell him, "Hey, why don't you chill and chant?" And he's so humble, and like you can really see this, unifying principle he really embodied, to
Mm.
even take advice, from someone minor, you would think, but yeah, beautiful. There was a few points now I have to digest and apply in my own life, definitely. Um, I always forget actually who I am and who the other people are, yeah, and easily criticize because looking in the external and you look like this today, you have a hat, but people might think why he's wearing a hat in a podcast. No, but you're cold, it's cold there and it's practical, and yeah, it's just, yeah, it's a good way to start. And then what can I do in a practical way, yeah, to serve? What can I do for you, Savya the monk,
Mm.
to make you more happy? Tell me. I will do it. I
Yes,
will do it.
please continue trying to be this agent for positive change in the world, trying to share content that will uplift people and trying to give your message where it can be digested and taken on board. I appreciate that very much about you. So if you just continue to do your work, and I think you will be serving me in a great way because I'm also trying to be a small agent of a positive spiritual revolution in the world. And
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to seeing you. Then maybe we can take prasadam, spiritual food, together when I come to your part of the world.
Yeah, please. Yeah, thank you. I mean, this is a good way to to serve you. I'm trying to building the bridge, talking more about God, but in a unifying way. Yeah, because it can be, again, I wanna instruct or teach and tell people, hey, I have the best, but no, how can we commune in unity? Yeah, even with our
Mm.
differences. And so, yeah, I really appreciate that you took time today to come. Um, I know you're busy. Yeah, you find also, I will post the link for your YouTube channel, Instagram, Savya the Monk. So if people want to get in touch with you and watch your content, I can highly recommend it. It's a very natural, natural and beautiful way you express yourself in your own unique way to combine these old teachings with modern thinking and, yeah, bringing different backgrounds and cultures together. So thank you so much for your work, and I hope to visit you in South Africa, hopefully next year. Otherwise, maybe see you in Germany. Or if nothing works out, I will invite you for another podcast. Can't wait so long to miss your association.
Thank you, Advaita. Thank you
Okay,
to
thank you,
anyone
Savya.
who hears. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.